of our ancestors was killed because we have never accepted slavery. We had to live on it, but we've never wanted it. So we know that this flag is drenched with our blood. So what the young people are saying now, give us a chance to be young men, respected as a man. As we know, this country was built on the black backs of black people across this country. And if we don't have it, you ain't gonna have it either, because we gonna tear it up. That's what they saying. And people ought to understand that.
What up, y'all? BAM TV in the building. We're starting a new docu-series called Cast Your Vote, where we'll be taking a look into the government as far as the political parties, both Republican and Democratic. We just want to tap in to see what they've done for us politically throughout history. And we're going to break those certain situations down and see how they've used the persuasion of vote to push certain agendas. Y'all check this out.
Abraham Lincoln was elected in 1860 as a Republican. He ran against Southern Democrats who chose to protect slave owners. This is correct, and a high school history class, by the way, would have told you that.
Yeah, Abraham Lincoln was definitely one of the first Republican presidents in 1860. And he was definitely a co-founder of the Republican Party, along with the man Salmon P. Chase, who eventually was elected to be the Secretary of Treasury for Lincoln. And he had a major part of ending the Civil War. But y'all check this out.
Chase sought the Republican nomination for president in the 1860 presidential election, but the party chose Abraham Lincoln at its national convention. After Lincoln won the election, he asked Chase to serve as Secretary of the Treasury.
In 1865, he said freed slaves who were intelligent or had served as soldiers should be allowed to vote. The 14th Amendment, passed in 1868, guaranteed this right as part of the full citizenship accorded to African American men.
So again, Abraham Lincoln was very important as far as giving civil rights, thus being freedom, the right to vote, to African American men and women that were former slaves. But y'all check this out.
No longer property, they didn't have the protections afforded property.
When we were slaves, we couldn't do that, see? And if we got free, we didn't know nothing to do. And my mother, she hunted places and bound us out for $1 a month. But we didn't have no property, we didn't have no home. We had nowhere, nothing. We didn't have nothing on it, just like the cattle, we just turned out and get along the best you could.
The Great Depression in 1929 marked a big shift for black voters who left Lincoln's Republican Party. It was Franklin Delano Roosevelt's wife, Eleanor, who pushed anti-lynching legislation, while FDR himself created the Fair Employment Practices Committee, which banned discrimination of African Americans in the defense industry.
Many working-class men who had previously voted Republican converted or switched to the Democratic Party. Yet the new emerging majority party also benefited from the mass mobilization of women into the electorate in the 1920s, many of whom had not formed a strong allegiance to either party until the 1930s.
Now, this is when FDR comes in, Franklin Roosevelt, and this is when he comes and proposes a new plan called the New Deal Coalition. With this, we do get some civil liberties, but we also get screwed over heavy on the back end, as I'll show you. But y'all check this out.
By 1936, Democratic Party membership has shifted from mainly white Southerners to include farmers, laborers, African Americans, new immigrants, ethnic minorities, women, progressives, and intellectuals. A little bit of everybody.
And at this time is when you get your housing authority. Essentially, all it was just governmental agencies providing housing for all classes of people. But it was a hierarchy to that, to keep it real with you. At the same time, we were in the height of the Great Depression, so it helped for the time. But check this out.
1937, the National Housing Act, promoted by Eleanor Roosevelt, created a United States Housing Authority to subsidize loans for builders willing to buy blocks of slums and build low-cost housing.
Due to the stimulation of the National Housing Act, 1935 presents a different picture. From every section of the country come reports of vastly increased building activity. Now in these pictures we show you a few of the thousands of houses of all types that are currently under construction as a result of this building boom. We show you a few of the hundreds of thousands of men whom it has put back to work, some of them after years of idleness. Carpenters, bricklayers, masons, plumbers, men from every division of the building trades are getting an honest day's work. And this reemployment is not limited to the building trades. For every man put to work on a house, several more are engaged in making the needed materials and transporting them to where they are to be used.
It also brought a new public attitude regarding government. The program gave Americans a safety net that provided safeguards and relief programs to protect them from economic disaster. Remember, these are safety nets. They were never intended to be permanent.
The chairman of the Housing Authority is Charles Swibel.
We at the Chicago Housing Authority have interpreted the rules and regulations in regard to public housing to mean that we are to provide safe, decent, and sanitary housing, which means good housing, but not luxurious housing.
Wow. Real scumbag right there. But when you put us in the box, you know what I'm saying? Like, it shows you that our loyalty to one party really screwed us over. Because here it is, we thought we was getting in a good deal. And here it is, over a century later, that deal not only was found out to be garbage, but it stood the test of time because my people still living in them slums today. You know, at this point in time, when the housing authority was made, man, redlining was made. You know, we was under the impression that, you know, you work, you stay in these little houses a little bit, then you'll be eligible for a loan to get into the suburbs. But as you see, that was only offered to a specific group of people. You know, I mean, traditionally, after we was freed, we were Republicans. But due to the Jim Crows and the lynchings and all the beatings and shit, any type of party that offered any solution to any or all of the problems that we were having, we jumped on. Can you blame your ancestors for that? So I say this before we move on, man. Know who you dealing with. Know the history. They never had good intentions by us, bro. And, you know, I'm talking about the FDR dude had a sweep. He swept. He was in office for 4 terms. Unheard of, ain't it? 4 terms, bro. So anyway, like, share, subscribe. We're going to have the part 2 come up, man. You know what I'm saying? Very soon. But y'all like, share, subscribe. And always remember, man, get your blicks ready. It's time to go to war. Out of there. Much love.